Now we get to the running back position. Logan Diggs moves on to LSU. And size it up for us, of course, Audric Estime, almost 1,000 yards rushing last season.
Even with the departure of Logan Diggs, I'm still drooling over this running back room because we have two monsters leading the way with not only Audric Estime, but Jadarian Price. He's coming off of I think it was an ACL injury that he suffered back in the spring last year. So, he has a chip on his shoulder. He's wanting to prove himself. And if you have seen this kid, it's like the Hulk come to life. I mean, him and Estime have like the same body types, the same muscle. He looks like a freak of nature. Yeah. And then behind him, you have the transfer from Penn State, Devin Ford, who did pretty well there. Jeremiah Love, the highly touted freshman, Jabron Payne. So even with the departure of Diggs, I cannot wait to see what this running back core does.
Well, and you forgot to mention our other big weapon in Tyree. I mean, Tyree is
got moved a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have some running back. He's going to be a running back too. He's going to be like a Darren Sproles type where, you're going to see him line up a little bit in the backfield, but you'll also see him out in the slot. But I mean, you have thunder and lightning with him and Estime. I mean, this running back room is great. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, with Notre Dame's always had a pretty good run game. You can't complain too much as a Notre Dame fan with the run game we've had. It's always been kind of the passing game that we worry about. So, this running game, we know what we have. Estime is the bruiser. Tyree is lightning speed, and like Sean mentioned, with Love and Jadarian Price and all that, I mean, next man up, there's no rebuilding for Notre Dame in running back position. It's just a reload and let them go. So it's exciting. The running back core will look to make a lot of noise, and hopefully both the running back core and the wide receiver core can take off and make this offense just absolutely elite.
Of course, the one position group that was consistently near the top of the nation in production, the offensive line, and they make it all happen. Joe Alt's coming back, Blake Fisher's coming back. Your thoughts about Notre Dame up front?
The three positions that I see as a lock are both tackle positions and the center, Zeke Correll, a graduate student. But the one question for me is the two guard spots. Now, right here on the depth chart, I guess you would call it the unofficial depth chart, if you will. They have Billy Schraeth. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. They have him as the left tackle, or I'm sorry, the left guard. Excuse me, but he's a freshman. And, I mean, you could say that with any position when you see freshman next to their name, that kind of scares you a little bit. But, we've seen plenty of times where a freshman comes in out of high school and, he fits in perfectly. It's second nature to him. Now, the guard spot, they have Andrew Kristofic in there, who's also a graduate student. But I could see backup Rocco Spindler pushing him, maybe not to start, but to get some significant playing time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Spindler is, sophomore/junior, depending on how you look at things. So he's got some experience under his belt, and he'll look to really make a push for a starting position on this line. But the big thing with the line is that we've seen it. We've seen the line play well when it's a team that Notre Dame should beat. Okay. We've seen the line be okay in recent years against an Ohio State, against a Clemson, against an Alabama. So taking the step forward, this line has to show up in the Ohio State game this year and has to show up in the Southern Cal game. I mean, last year, Ohio State made Tyler Buckner's life trouble, and they made him very, very uncomfortable. And we can't have that this year. So this line has to play at an elite level for this offense to work, because you win and die by your line. I mean, that's common football 101. So,
well, and the trend that I saw the past couple of years that's kind of bothered me a little bit, even back in 2021 when we did make the the Fiesta Bowl and had a 10-win season and all that, is the offensive line didn't start finding its groove till about 4 or 5 games into the season, and we can't have that this year because even in 2021 with Jack Cohn was getting pressured, he was getting rushed, and it didn't look like the offensive line was clicking at all. Same with in 2022. Now, despite the quarterback situation, they didn't. Neither one of them, Pine or Buckner, looked comfortable back there. Yeah. And a part of that was because the offensive line was being shuffled around. They weren't set. And it wasn't until midseason they finally got it together. And that's a concern. And I hope that doesn't happen in 2023.
So, guys, when we look back on the 2022 Notre Dame offense, what is going to be a successful offensive showing start to finish? Whether you want to frame that statistically or otherwise, what's going to tell you this has been a success?
I'll tell you one thing. If we start seeing some consistency, especially with the quarterback play, and I know I'm kind of going back to that, but if we can just see some, if basically what I'm getting at is if Sam Hartman can stay comfortable in the pocket, which goes to the offensive line as well, because we saw that problem a lot with Buckner and Drew Pine last year. They were not comfortable in the pocket, which I think affected their play a lot, and bad throws and so on. If I can see some comfort in the pocket from the quarterback, if the offensive line can get consistent from the start, then that's when I know that we're starting to see some progress.
I would love to see Sam Hartman throw for about 4,000 yards this year. If you want to compare, Caleb Williams threw for 4,447 yards last year on his way to the Heisman. You look at Sam Hartman's stats and you look at what he was able to do at Wake Forest with an okay team around him and, good players, but not great. I think 4,000 yards should be his goal, and I would love to see him do that.
Well, and I guess I
yep. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Sean.
I was going to say, I guess I misunderstood the question. I thought I guess if you want to talk specifically stats, I would love to see Audric Esme hit the 1,000-yard mark and double-digit touchdowns.
All right, breaking down the Notre Dame offense, the two Irish brothers with us, and they will be hosting our Notre Dame post-game here at the Voice of College Football after every Notre Dame contest, starting with Navy Week 0. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We want to encourage everyone to check out the two Irish brothers right here on YouTube as well. Guys, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.